All right, let's start at the beginning. So, tell me where you were born and raised, and something about your family.
Oh my! I was born in Barbersville, Kentucky. My daddy was in school there, and we at a young age, when I was about I don't know, 5 or 6, something like that. My daddy took a job in Oak Ridge, and we moved to Oak Ridge, and I went to school in Oak Ridge for like the first semester, what we'd call a semester now. And then he found a house in Kingston, out in Cherokee Hills, and we moved to Kingston. And I started going to school here, and I went to high school and junior high, and of course the buildings were totally different back then. And but then they opened up Cherokee School out there when I was going into the 3rd grade. So I went out there in the 3rd grade, stayed there through, that was the elementary school at that time. And then they moved the schools around a lot all the time, and then came back to Kingston and graduated in 1966, I guess. And then from there, I was, I don't mean to sound braggish on this, but I was an all-state football player in football. I was all-state in football, basketball, and baseball. We had some really good teams, and I was fortunate enough to be on those teams. I ended up getting a chance to play football at the University of Kentucky. Went there, graduated from University of Kentucky, and so I don't know, you want to keep going? My whole family's from Kingston. Everybody graduated from Kingston. There's so many of us I can't even keep a record of everybody. But my father passed away, and my mother passed away, and I'm the oldest of 7 children, and they all graduated from Kingston, and so we've been here a long time.
So you said that you grew up in Kentucky and then moved to Oak Ridge because your dad got a job in Oak Ridge. Right. What was his job?
Everything back then was really secret. There at Oak Ridge, is Atomic City and all that. So they weren't really allowed to discuss what they did. And so I never really knew what his job was out there. He never talked about it. He was just about everybody was under oath. It had something to do with the development of the atomic bomb. I don't know what they did in Oak Ridge and where they did it. They did parts of it in different places, but so he never really just discussed that with any of us.
Mm-hmm. So you said you were the oldest out of 7 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all still live in Kingston?
No, 7. We're scattered out pretty. My 2 brothers live in Kingston, and then I've got a sister that lives in Oak Ridge, and I've got another sister that lives in Harrogate, Tennessee. But then I've got a sister that lives in Kingston, and then I've got another sister that lives in wait just a minute, Oregon, not Oregon. Yeah, Oregon.
So yeah, pretty scattered out.
Yeah, we're scattered out everywhere. And then each of them have had children and their children, and we're in just about every state in the union.
So you said that all the schools have changed a lot since you went to high school and elementary school here. What would you say? Would you say that you had any favorite teachers or coaches that had like a big impact on you as a person and that like impacted how you went to college, what you did after college?
Well, so many of them did. Basically my football coaches probably had the most influence on me. The head football coach here when I was here was Bill Long, and Jess Clemens was the assistant coach, and those names were familiar with all the older folks in Kingston, I'm sure. And but I'd say then a lot of my teachers were very helpful and influential. I pretty much liked them all, and they all, were really good to me the whole time I was here.
Well, that's good. So you went to college and you were an all-star football player. After college, what did you do?
Coach Long was the head football coach here, and at the end of when I first got out, he took a job in Crossville, and he hired me there, and I went to Crossville with him as assistant coach, and I stayed there for we stayed there 5 or 6 years, and then my old college coach at the University of Kentucky got a job in Troy, Alabama, and he called me, and I went down there, and I was assistant coach at Troy State in Troy, Alabama, and then from there, one of my assistant coaches, I stayed there for about 5 or 6 years, and then one of my assistant coaches, Wally English, got the head job at Tulane, and he called me, and I ended up going to Tulane, and I was assistant coach at Tulane for, while he was there, and in the end of that time, all this runs together, but so I was at Tulane there for 2 or 3 years, and then I'd say a big influence in this was the former assistant principal here was a guy named Hal Lephew, who's a good friend of mine, and he pulled some strings or did what, I don't really know, but they called me, and the job was open at Kingston, was coming open in Kingston, and so I ended up coming back to Kingston as the head football coach here, and I was head football coach here for from about, I can't remember the years exactly, 1986 to about 70, I don't know, in the 70s. And while I was here, we were very, very successful, not because of my coaching, but I had some great football players that came through here. And, most of the people have probably heard of them. One guy you might know is a guy named Brian Pankey, was one who played for me. And Coach Pankey was, played football for me. And he had a teammate named Kevin Mays, who's, was a really good football player. And I had a whole bunch of players like that. And a guy named Robbie Collier played for me. And then during that time span, my 2 sons came through, and both of them got to play for me. Charlie King and John King. And we were very, very successful because like I say, not because of my coaching, but because we had a lot of good football players. And about a year ago, and I was bragging again, I was inducted to Tennessee High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame. So that was quite an honor. And again, I credit all that to the players, not necessarily for me. I was a pretty good player when I played, but the guys that played for me were really good. Hope that answered your question.
You did. So you said that after college you went to a couple different places to coach football over different states, different cities, different towns. And so something a lot of people have said is that there's no place like Kingston. Would you say that you agree with that?
Oh yeah, totally agree with it. Kingston's an awesome place. Was back then and still is. It's been awesome for a long time. When I came through here, there were just all kinds of really good football, baseball, and basketball players, and I got to play with them. And then most of them were like me, had children that came back and played here, and some of them got grandchildren that play here now. And so it's a totally awesome place, no doubt about it.
What would you say is one thing that would make Kingston stand out from other towns?
Oh my. Whew. Well, it's some people like big cities and then some people don't. Some people like smaller places. And in Kingston, you get kind of the best of both worlds. You got Kingston right here and Knoxville just like 30 miles up the road. So you get to a pretty good sized town going that way. And you can, an hour and a half, you can get to Nashville. And so you can get to places like that. You can get to Lexington or anywhere else in the country. So a lot of people just the location. A lot of people, Northerners, they'll go to Florida and they go down there and they like it down there, but they don't want to go back up north. So they come back and they call them halfbacks, and they come back and they come right in here, and in this East Tennessee area, they really like it, and the ones that take the time to really scout it out, they find out about Kingston. Knoxville, they say, well, where's Kingston? Well, we're at Kingston Pike. You just get over on Kingston Pike out of Knoxville and start heading west, and you'll head this way. And of course, we had the steam plant here. That made it big, where everybody knew about it, and brought in a lot of people. And so there was a lot of great jobs here. And it's just a great place.
So, backtracking a bit. So when you were coming through in high school and middle school and all of that, how has Kingston change in the surrounding area changed over time? Like, was going to Knoxville as big of a deal as it is now to go and see like bigger places, like more food options and stuff like that, more activities?
Well, it just depends on kind of what world you're in. If you're really interested in athletics, Kingston has about everything there is to offer. It did back then, and it does now. And times have really changed because there's so many more sports, available. And in Kingston, we're pretty good in just about all of them. And, we end up having all state players and all district and all region, all those kind of things, and just about all these new sports. So that attracts even you might not be big and a big guy that might want to play football. You might be smaller, so you end up wanting to play golf instead. And I'm just using that example because there's little guys that play football too. But we always have a pretty good, we're good in golf and all other sports. And then the thing that's really changed a lot is women athletics. There's a lot more to do for girls than there was, when I came through. There wasn't you played on the basketball team and that was just about it. But now we've got golf, softball. I mean, you name it, we've got it. And so that makes it good.
So now that you're back in Kingston, what have you been doing for the past several years since you stopped coaching?
I'd say one of the biggest things and one of the things I've got the most enjoyment about is I've been on the school board, and so that's pretty rewarding because you get a help. It's kind of a payback. In my way I look at it, it's payback time. It's not, you don't really pay forward, you pay back for all the good things that has happened to you. You can kind of pay back. So I'm on the school board, and that puts me in touch with a whole lot of issues. All the issues come, and then I'm in charge of different committees like the safety committee, whatever. So you get to touch every phase of it, and you meet a lot of good people that that are on the school board too, that are they're really, their school comes first. That's the way it is with me. Kingston schools come first, but I want to help them help their other schools too, like Cameron, Rockwood, and Oliver Springs, Midway, all those, but Midway's kind of a Kingston school. But anyway, I hope that answered your question.
So with being on the school board and you saying that it's kind of a way for you to pay it forward to like all the students and people of Kingston, would you say that you always wanted to in some way help, like ever since high school, was it always your goal to come back to Kingston and help out the students, or was there a different plan originally?
No, my original plan, since the day I graduated from high school, is I wanted to come back to Kingston. That was, I didn't know how long, I didn't know it was going to take me so long, but I always wanted to come back to Kingston, and I always wanted to coach football at Kingston. And so when that chance, because of Mr. Lefew, and not just him, but other people, that opportunity came, and I jumped on it.
All right, well.
So you can kind of probably say I've been living the dream.
So for the last question, what are your plans for the future? Do you plan on staying in Kingston for the remainder of your time, or do you want to get out, see more places?
Well, actually, I do not like to leave Kingston for more than a week at a time. Back when I was young, when I was traveling and recruiting, part of that coaching experience is recruiting. We went, I had the fortune of going all over the United States recruiting football players for the different schools I was at. And then, so now, my goal is to stay in Kingston as much as possible. I will leave for short periods of time because of, going to see family, but I just don't like to stay out of Kingston more than a week at a time. That's about my limit. And so if I if I go for 4 or 5 days, I'm ready to head back this way.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in and answering our questions.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope that enlightened people about Kingston just a little bit. It's a great place.
Thank you.